handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert, Italian by birth, American by choice, songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna and you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network, and of course also on lovegunsfreedom.com. Today is Sunday, August the 3rd, 2014, and this show, it is not to entertain, it is not just to waste your time or my time. My purpose is try, first of all, to learn, but also to share what I learn. And we have some breaking news. Breaking news, they are pretty much keep coming every hour, every day. And this is something that I believe is way too important to ignore. I had to change a little bit today's show because this is something that I believe, in my opinion, and also according to the facts and data that I'm learning and I'm reading right now, something may happen. And I say something again, something may happen in the next few weeks. And this is not going to be something, unfortunately, that you're going to like. Everybody already heard through mainstream media that in Africa, at least part of Africa, is pretty much under emergency. It's a disaster. It's called EBOLA. EBOLA is a disease that you don't play with that, okay? And let me tell you something, just in case you don't have any information about Ebola, I got some information directly here from the Center of Disease Control. I am not a doctor, I'm not trying to claim any type of medical advices here, but I'm just reading what every one of us can read directly from cdc.gov, okay? The information is, for me, it's very important because the Ebola virus, first of all, it is some sort of almost lethal, 90% lethal type of disease. It's a fever, it's an hemorrhagic fever, and it destroys all your internal organs. It's painful death, and it's really pretty much, there is no cure. Okay, the only cure you can try to find is trying to just stabilize it. Now, we know this has been happening. It's not the first time that we have Ebola in the world, especially in that part of Africa. But the fact now that it's out of control, the fact now that we are somehow facing a new type of Ebola, because it seems like it's much more aggressive, that is completely impossible almost to contain. So that's what I'm trying to realize, that this is something I believe that is new. First of all, what is disturbing about this Ebola? We have Ebola in Africa, and meanwhile, we have right now 2 American missionaries brought back in the U.S., and it's confirmed by mainstream media that in Georgia, Atlanta is going to be at the hospital a quarantine area for one of these missionaries. Don't get me wrong. I mean, these people deserve their treatment, whatever they need to do. But this is not just a regular disease. If there is an accident, voluntarily or involuntarily, that this disease can break through the barrier of the quarantine area, we're going to live in a nightmare. One of the worst movies you could have imagined. Let me tell you something. This is coming directly from the Center of Disease Control, okay, cdc.gov. How can this, first of all, Ebola can be transmitted? Well, if you go there is a page that I also uploaded the link on the website, Love Guns Freedom. You go to lovegunsfreedom.com, and you will see on today's show, August the 3rd, 2014, you will see that we have proofs through the CDC that the Ebola can be transmitted also through aerial. It is not just through contact or liquid. So this is very disturbing, okay? Because if we have that type of situation and it can be spread out, I mean, America is going to be in a state of, you have no idea, or maybe you do, you listen to the show, you do. So, for example, there was a test in Ebola resistant appear in a primate research facility in Virginia, where it may have been transmitted from monkey to monkey through the air. This is serious, because now we're going to have, first of all, those two American missionaries on U.S. soil in a quarantine area that hopefully nobody else ever going to somehow be infected. But the worst part now, let's not forget, we have completely open borders. Thanks to this administration, to Obama, let's not forget we have right now a situation where completely open borders, where thousands and thousands of illegal aliens coming from Mexico and southern Mexico, we have not even have an idea, could be anybody. They come here, they can give pretty much completely asylum, there is no any type of background check, there is no any type of health checks. This is like a complete flood, and or by accident or by design, all we need is one person carrying this virus and infiltrating the U.S., and we would be completely under martial law. But more important, we could a complete pandemic that would be almost impossible to contain. Think about now with the transportation that we have. These are not just villages like in Africa. People have to walk most of the time with the cars and the highways and airplanes. Buses. They would be a nightmare. So we need to start to look at everything. That's why, as I said, there is a called the Hegelian dialectical. Okay, it's a problem, reaction, solution. This is something used not just today with this administration, but governments in general always try to find a way to control their population through crisis. First of all, they need to create a problem. We have a problem. This problem, or by nature, or because it's being used and amplified by governments, is there. Now, as I said, Ebola itself, yes, I'm worried, but I couldn't be that concerned. What I'm concerned is who is going to use this crisis, who is going to manipulate this crisis, for which purpose. So unfortunately, the Ebola could have been contained in Africa. Unfortunately, it is not. We see that intentionally we have our borders, they're open. We have thousands and thousands of illegal aliens with no any type of medical background, health background check, let in our country. We see that right now, at the same time, we have the Obama administration, this is one of the most important parts we must understand, signs an executive order to detain Americans with respiratory illnesses. All it takes that you have some symptoms of a respiratory illnesses and you may be detained. Let's not forget now, let's start to look at everything, the big picture, because it's not just a friendly government that we should trust. Let's not forget that we are already under martial law. We already are being occupied. We have, first of all, this man, Mr. Obama, we have no idea really who he is, but we see his actions. We've been seeing what he's been doing to our country the last 6 years. Now, we see, for example, that Chinese troops and Russian troops, just 1 year ago, under an agreement with FEMA, especially the Russian troops, there was signed an agreement with FEMA that they were allowed to be here in U.S. soil, on U.S. soil, for emergency, and also to just monitor special events. Are you kidding me? The same Russia that now we are playing the game, supposed to be our enemy for the Ukraine situation? Come on, guys. Let's not forget that we have Chinese troops sitting in Hawaii for the first time in history, okay, and having joint exercises with our soldiers. So this is very, very serious. Now we have this executive order that pretty much would give the power to the executive to allow him to mandate the apprehension and detention of Americans who merely show signs of respiratory illnesses. Anybody could have that. So we understand that there is Homeland Security. It wasn't created for the people with the turban or people, let's say, these extremist Muslim terrorists, whatever you want to call them. No, this was created for the American people, for Christians, for conservatives, gun owners. These are the people that they're targeting. And now they're here. It's on the open. Now they needed a crisis that could be created or somehow used against us. Now I will play pretty soon a little bit of a file, a montage file, with different parts. The first part you will see there is Rahm Emanuel, the former chief of staff of Obama. Now it's a mayor of Chicago, mayor. And you see what he had to say about crisis. And then you will see, this is very important, my opinion, file. This was from Larry Grethold, that was used to work and used to be part of the Weather Underground with Bill Ayers, one of Mr. Obama's friend. And what was the plan? It was early 70s. This was a testimonial from one of the meetings they attended. During the 70s, what was the plan for the Americans when this sort of revolutionary group infiltrated our government and pretty much tried to impose the new regime, the new socialistic regime on us? So we are here, my friends. Now, I would like to, first of all, yes, we need to admit that there is a problem, because if we don't understand that it's real, this is not a movie, this is not just an entertainment, this is real. And I'm sorry, I wish we could talk today about different things. I wish we could talk about just music or love and, things that sometimes don't matter. This, unfortunately, could be maybe one of the last broadcasting we could do. If tomorrow morning we wake up, you wake up, and your area is being quarantined, you know that this broadcasting, this radio station, would be no more allowed to operate in a free way. Would be directly under the FEMA control. You already know, sometimes you hear the beep. They can pretty much bypass all of us. So I want to use this broadcasting of today to try to share this information, what could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what could happen, and what if it happens? Do you have a plan? Are you going to have some sort of organization in your family, your neighborhood, in your community? What you going to do? So please listen to this little audio file, and then we come back and we'll try to talk about some solutions. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't go away.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before. I think America...
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people. Now, I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
Russian soldiers will be put on U.S. soil by Obama to provide security at U.S. events. That's right, you heard me correctly. As part of a deal signed last week in Washington, D.C., between the Ruskies and FEMA. You know who FEMA is, don't you? The people with the camps ready for you. Russian soldiers are going to be put on U.S. soil to provide security at mass events in the United States. Do you have any idea what this means? Many people fear that this government is getting ready for some major action against the people. They think that this gang that targeted their political enemies through the IRS and through the NSA is getting ready to use foreign troops on our soil, who will not hesitate to shoot to kill. That was signed just last week between FEMA and Russia, the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry and FEMA, where Russian soldiers will provide security at mass events in the United States. This is illegal. It's a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. Whoever signed it for the U.S. government should go to prison.
Pretty impressive, a display of international military might. Thousands of men and women from several different countries all landed on Camp Pendleton's beaches today. It's all part of a multinational exercise called Dawn Blitz.
New at 5, 10 News reporter Joe Little was on the beach during that exercise and reveals why training alongside other countries has become part of the U.S. military's way of life.
The Patriot Act, Homeland Security, the Military Tribunals Act, and other legislations are all completely and entirely designed to destroy your civil liberties and limit your ability to fight back against what is coming. Currently in the United States, unannounced to most brainwashed Americans, your home can be searched without a warrant, without you being home. You can in turn be arrested with no charges revealed to you, detained indefinitely with no access to a lawyer, and legally tortured, all under the suspicion that you might be a terrorist. It's time to wake up.
After my election, I have more flexibility. After my election, I have more flexibility. I understand. I transmit. After my election, I have more flexibility. I understand. I transmit.
And we are back into the studios. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Okay, what I think is very important here is not to just say, okay, we focus on one part of the puzzle, but we need to look from a distance, the whole picture. First of all, we must understand, we must admit, I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, who is this man in the White House? Mr. Barack Obama. It is not a friend of the American people. It's been proven. Now, if you are an extremist, you believe in his ideology, that's fine, but still, the facts talk. Okay, this guy is completely harming us, putting us in a very state of danger. I mean, look at just with our open borders, okay? Now, forget about the socioeconomic, forget about the redistribution of wealth, that would be bad enough. I'm talking about the national security. We have a serious problem. We have a crisis with these millions of potential illegal aliens now being able to cross our border and being pretty much given asylum without any type of medical background or health background or even any type of background. With this crisis, health crisis of the Ebola in Africa, this is a complete disaster. Now, to give the control of our streets under an emergency to Russian troops, that's, I don't care which type of party are you from. This is insanity. This is just a show, it's a wrestling match. We have all this crisis with Ukraine, and Russia is supposed to be our enemy, and then we have given the control of our security in case of an emergency to a country like Russia or China, that, by the way, they are sitting right now in Hawaii, and their bases also in San Diego, Long Beach. I mean, come on, guys, come on. So we need to start to admit that there is a problem. Only after we admit that there is a potential problem, what are we going to do? And these are just some basic solutions. I'm not a medical expert. I'm just telling you something out of common sense. First of all, if you have a place, if you have a house, a rural area, out of the cities, prepare it. Be self-efficient. Be sure that you have access to water, some sort of self-efficiency with energy, food, storage food. Then you need to start to understand that you don't know when it's going to happen. There are potentially already different type of plans of martial law and different the division of FEMA regions. In case of an emergency, you're not going to have any more the states like we have now. You're not going to be able to also cross the state lines or even the city lines. We're going to live like in a blockade. You may wake up in the morning, we'll be in a quarantine area just because they say so, okay? So you must have a plan. Start to listen to the news, start to be ready before things may happen, because when things are already opening, you wake up in the morning, you may be blocked in your home. So start to have at your place, a rural area, as isolated as possible. Yes, you understand why, for many reasons. I mean, first of all, if there is really an outbreak of Ebola, you don't want to be stuck in a city or in a place where you can be contaminated easily, or you could be somehow contained, and you could be also, more important, completely controlled. I mean, they could come and pick you up out of your home anytime, okay? So you need to have a place, an emergency place. Doesn't need to be a house. Even if you have just a piece of land with a tent and some access to water, prepare it now. Start to organize with your friends, family, neighbors. You're not going to be able to manage it by yourself. You must have some support. Remember, you must sleep. You must take care of things 24/7. You must try, more important, to be stealth, okay? Because that place could be a place where you could have a chance to at least survive meanwhile things come back to normal. So, and more important, start to think about how long can you be able to function without having access to commodities, to services, to shops. That's very important. So you must have some series also of tools and preparation and extra things that you may need that unfortunately normally we take for granted, but in case of emergency we don't have anymore. So have a sense of also transportation. It doesn't mean just to be a regular transportation for a regular highway, but could be like an alternative transportation. Could be a dirt bike, could be an ATV, could be four-wheel drive, because sometimes main road may be blocked. Have a communication system with you and your friends or your family. And this is, I mean, more than just the cell phones or the regular phone lines. They may be shut down. If there is a quarantine, an emergency, they don't want even let know what's going on. Internet may go down. So have some sort of an opportunity to organize now. So this is just the beginning. Now, don't forget, Ebola, I said, I'm not a doctor, but it's very dangerous, could be also transmitted not just by contact and fluid, but also by airborne. There are some proofs out there, at least from the CDC website, and I posted the PDF file on lovegunsfreedom.com on today's show. So you must somehow also have some basic gas mask, or at least an opportunity to have some medical mask that could give you the opportunity to, in case you have to interact with other people, you have a little bit of protection. There are a lot of surplus out there, but start to organize it now. So this is just the basic. Don't forget weapons, of course. If you need to take care of your area, of your homestead, of your home, or whatever, your castle, whatever you have, and there is really some sort of emergency, don't forget, chaos may be out there. Desperation. Food chains, the food stores may be shut down. The shelves may be empty. So be prepared and pray for the best. And wake up, your fellow Americans. This is not the drill. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we are back, second part of the first hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. We have a special guest today, Mr. Sam Medrano. It's a gun owner and also a business owner. And it's exactly, what is the name of the business, Sam? Just to be sure I say it right.
I have two gun shops, one in Lake Havasu, which is Sam Shooter's Emporium 1, and I have one in White Hills, just before you get to the dam on Route 93, where we have an outdoor shooting a machine gun shooting range and helicopter rides, and it's a tourist attraction, more or less.
Perfect. Anyway, I think...
And that's Sam Shooter's Emporium, too.
Very good. So I really believe, it's important to support our local, not only gun shops, but gun manufacturer, and everything has to do with guns, especially locally, because we need their support, too. I mean, we need to have always a source that we can buy whatever we need to defend our freedom and ourselves.
Without a question of a doubt. As I said earlier in the show, if you don't have the Second Amendment, you have no... Second Amendment is the one that defends and keeps in force all the rest of the amendments of the Constitution. that Barack Obama and his gang of 535 were doing working so hard to remove the Constitution.
Exactly. And, I want to be fair. Barack Obama, he could not have done this, unfortunately, by himself. There are more than himself.
Not at all.
He's just the face. There are, of
Congress
course,
is complicit, including the party leadership of the GOP.
Exactly. That's the point. Very good. So, Sam, we were talking about, local politics, about a candidate that I really had the pleasure, and I've been sarcastic here, to have as my guest, Mr. George Schittngrund, running for Arizona State House for LD5. And this, what I was saying about him, I'm not judging here people's mistakes. Everybody can make a mistake. DUI, of course, is something serious, but at the same time, that's not the main point. For me, the point
to
is...
tell the truth about it, George, it's not a 0.03, as he said, it's a 0.08. And following a person's wife around and taking pictures at the front of his house and taking pictures of the inside of his garage and taking pictures and following the officers around, and on numerous occasions, according to the police reports here, he was stopped, parked across the street from the officer's home. I mean, any non-political figure, you'd probably tend to call it stalking.
Exactly, I agree. And that for me was the worst part,
It's creepy.
It's
creepy, is what it is.
Exactly. If somebody said, no big deal, think if that was your wife, that was your family, was your kids. That's why I really get involved. And normally I don't get involved in those things because I think, if you have a problem with a man, sort it out with him. Leave his family out. I mean, that's
exactly right. Well, something, if George ever stalked my wife, Ellie, it would be probably the biggest mistake he ever made in his life.
Yeah. So anyway, I was pretty impressed, honestly, that that shows really that there is still some integrity. I don't say that they are perfect, but I tell you, if you were doing this type of behavior in the wrong zip code of the world, like Italy, and you were messing with somebody else, I don't think they were going to a judge, because Sergeant Burns, he really proved that he had a lot of integrity. He went to a judge, he hired an attorney, and he filed an injunction or whatever it is to try to keep this situation civil.
Exactly right.
I tell you, if there was
George, as a matter of fact, broke down Monday. There's no civility when it comes to George Schittngrund. He broke down, called me a liar, wandered over, stood over me and called me a liar at this table. And I says, well, George, in other words, you're saying the police department lied on numerous occasions. The judge lied. The whole judicial system of Mojave County was wrong. And that he said the police should be fired, the police should be city and the police should be sued, and that Judge Jill Davis should be impeached.
So everybody else is guilty, and
everybody's wrong, not George.
Is an innocent saint. Anyway, that's my point. And the reason why we're spending this time on this situation, I know people say, "Why will I talk about that?" This is important. This is exactly the job as a citizen or member of the media. I consider myself an independent media. This guy is running for Republican. I couldn't care less. I'm the first one that want to expose him if he's a scumbag. Sure. It's our job to talk the truth and stand by the facts.
That's exactly right. I mean, he could say. In fact, George said that he's going to get an injunction to keep me from reading this on your radio show. Well, I wrote down the phone number of my attorney and handed it to him and says, here's my attorney to receive process. Knock yourself out, George. Obviously, he never got the injunction to keep me from talking to you, and I beat one of those with former state senator Linda Binder when she tried to keep me from mentioning her name on the radio and on print media and all as a rhino, which she actually admitted to under oath that she was, in fact, a Republican in name only.
Sam, first of all, I really believe we still have the First Amendment in this country, at least in the state of Arizona, number one. And number two, you're talking the facts. You're not just making things up.
Right. I mean, hey, I've got $156 worth of Freedom of Information paperwork sitting here in front of me right now. Anybody who wants to look at it can come in my store or get together. We'll have a cup of coffee, and they can spend a half an hour reading through this stuff, and it's testimony from the judicial system, the legal system, the law enforcement system here in Mojave County and in Lake Havasu City, and they make up their own judgment. Maybe they want to vote for George anyway. Hey, if people want to vote for George, go ahead and vote for George.
Perfect. I agree.
9 or 10 candidates in total, of which any one of 3 or 4 of them would make good candidates.
Exactly my point. All we do here, we bring in the information. They're the final judges. They are the voters.
Yeah, George, with this hypocrisy, with the fact that he's not for pot, and I guess he said on your radio show, on your radio show or in his conversation with you that he was in fact in favor because his brother was a grower in Colorado. I believe in Colorado, he said. And
let me tell you what he said exactly. Let me tell you what he said.
And that he wanted to change the marijuana laws in Arizona from the inside. That's why he was running to get elected.
Let me tell you where I stand.
That probably shows the motivation and orientation for George running for the state house.
Yeah, and exactly. Let me tell you what, because I think this is disturbing for me. The fact that somebody is not honest and that's very wrong. I don't care if we agree or not agree. For example, during the show, my position on marijuana, I don't smoke, okay? I hate the smell. I don't like the effects. I hate any type of drugs, even plants, okay? But that's not, that I don't care. It's not about me. I believe, in my opinion, I told him that, marijuana could be treated, should be treated like alcohol or any other type of things, if in the privacy of your...
It shouldn't be treated, I don't drink anyway. I'm
no, but that's okay.
Diabetic, and I like keeping,
Sam,
the mild aspect of it.
For the sake, let me tell you what happened between me and him. This is regardless what we agree or not. This is just, let me tell you what I told him, okay? He was proponing on the show that he's a very strong advocate of not legalization of the marijuana because we are very dangerous even if we have a plant in our own home. Okay.
Research always shows that it's the entryway drug to other harder drugs and more addicting drugs.
Fine. This is not. I didn't want to talk about this right now. Even I believe that at the end of the day, I am innocent till I'm proven guilty. Till I don't do some damages on others, I should be the owner of my body. Because at the same time, same reason they can say during the prohibition I shouldn't drink alcohol because somebody says so. But the point is not the point. The point is that you were saying exactly what you're saying. You say he's against the legalization of marijuana. I say, okay, I respect that. Even I don't agree. Even I don't smoke, but that's fine. Then, out of the blue, we had a conversation through Facebook, and I posted the all instant message conversation on my website, Love Guns Freedom, and you can go there exactly to the show that was called the show of May the 25th. There is a PDF file everybody should download, and in this page it says, let me tell you exactly what it says, that pretty much he he contradicts what it says, that he believes that he would like to support the legalization of marijuana, and he would like to do it from within, as you said. And people can read exactly every word is said. And for me, it was very...
I actually have I printed up your PDF file while you were talking here, and it says, and this is George speaking. For the record, Luca, I have a family member who grows in Colorado. I'm not opposed to it. I want to get elected so I can change the law from within, quote, end quote.
Exactly. And that's for me very disturbing. This is because it's shows the true personality that you cannot trust, okay?
Right.
I have respect for somebody that
tells... Who's a liar? Who's a hypocrite?
Exactly. I mean, I had more respect. Say, look, I do not believe in that, and I think I'm never going to change my opinion, at least unless I have some motive that I will change my opinion because I proved I was wrong. That's fine. But they show that he was lying to me during this show, and on top, you never know what he's really thinking. I wouldn't trust him with my dog. Seriously. How can I trust him to go down to Phoenix and represent us? Sam, I need to let you go. Please say the name of your website where people can reach you.
Certainly. It's www.samsguns, SAMSGUNS.com. I'm there most of the time. If you have any questions, any of your listeners want to give me a buzz over there, it's 928-680-7000. And give me a call, and we'll chat politics, or we'll go down the street and have a cup of coffee. The only thing I could say to your listeners is, by God, get involved. Get your butts off the couch on election day. If you're not registered to vote, Friday, unfortunately, was the deadline to vote in the next election, but there's more elections coming up. Whether you vote for or against the current agenda, the current administration, just get your butt out there and vote. Get involved.
Trying to kill, they eat off this plate, but all they feel is just hate. They hide in the dark, from within they attack. The enemies within, they look like just you and me. The enemies our country. They come here to change our creeds. They swear on something they don't believe. And they want to erase our borders. They want to change our lives. They're here to divide. They're already inside. The enemy's within. They look like just you and me. The enemy's within. Gotta stop them now, or they will win. We're not afraid of you, because in God we trust. For America, we are ready to fight. For America, we are ready to die.
And that was The Enemy Within, lyrics and music, or music and lyrics by Luca Zanna, myself. I wrote this song around, probably was 2004. Before even I became a citizen, I already saw there, I was already understanding what type of enemies we have within in our country. And this is very serious because right now the situation escalated, as you can understand, if you understand, and I'm sure you do understand. Most of the people, most of the listeners on my show do understand what's going on. So the enemy is not going to really come or necessarily come first as an enemy with different uniform of a different type of colors. It's going to be, unfortunately, right now, in my opinion, it is exactly inside the wall and is aiding and helping the flood of the other enemies from outside. Yes, we are in this situation. And you can see also why they are so concerned. This elite, the class elite, is so concerned to disarm the American people. Because remember, slaves are never armed. That's the bottom line. And if you can see right now, they try to implement a sort of legislation to deny our basic right of self-defense and also defense of our freedom, called the Second Amendment, at federal level. And wherever they cannot achieve that type of goal, they are working very hard at local level. For example, it really struck me, this Boston police commissioner says that residents do not need to own shotguns or rifles. Guess what? Whatever you think we need, I don't really care, Mr. Commissioner of the Police of Boston. Thankfully, I live in Arizona, but I feel really I feel the pain, honestly, for all the Americans living, like, for example, on the East Coast, in this case in Boston. You know, for him, according to this gentleman, and I'm trying to be polite here, his name is William Evans. It's a Boston police commissioner. He said that there is no reason in the world a Boston resident would need a shotgun or a rifle. Maybe I don't need a reason. Maybe I can have and I will have a shotgun or a rifle because it is my right. First of all, yeah, I believe also that there is a very logical, practical reason. It would be exactly, first of all, as the last line of defense for scumbags like you and politicians who support you behind. Because the rifle or the shotgun was never about going hunting. It's not like we're going to hunt maybe in Boston, but I know it's a town. I've never been there. It's a big city. It's about defending freedom. It's a right. It's a God-given right. And of course, also for personal defense. Let's not forget, I always believe that the handgun, it's kind of, it's practical, but it's not the best ballistic weapon to create an incapacitation towards an aggressor. So I always prefer to have a long weapon like a shotgun or a rifle in case of self-defense. So no, Mr. William Evans, you're a disgrace. You are also a traitor, in my opinion. You, as a Boston Police Commissioner, I'm sure that you took an oath to defend, uphold the Constitution, and the Second Amendment is pretty much written in a very simple way, and you are betraying it. Also in this article says that Massachusetts State Senator Stan Rosenberg contended that there are already enough federal laws on long guns and that new local laws were not needed to grant the police the power to deny firearm ownership any further. Yeah, we already have enough bad laws. So this is the trend, my dear friends. You see, we have people supposed to represent us and work for us and took an oath, and that's what they're pretty much trying to do, trying to work around to completely destroy or deny our rights. Now, another important thing, we talked last Sunday about the executive order for the AK-47 and the Sega and all these Russian imported rifle. Unfortunately, because of Mr. Obama and his magic pen and waste of ink and paper, now by executive order they are outlawed. At least, and definitely, they cannot be imported. They are not outlawed if you already have them, but you cannot import them anymore. So unfortunately, it's going to be a very drastic situation with the price and the opportunity to buy such a nice rifle. Now, the problem is also the ammunition. It's getting worse, in my opinion. I've been looking around for 22 long rifle ammunition at Walmart in the last 2 years. I don't think I've ever really seen them. I was not lucky, but I was smart enough to, a few years ago, to buy everything I could buy. But right now I see that things is not getting better. For example, a brick of ammunition normally contains 500 rounds. We used to pay those 22, I'm talking about the 22 long rifle. I used to pay these at Walmart for like $12, and then went up to $15. And now, guess what? Now you can maybe find them for $90, $80, even $100. And there is no way out. I don't see any improvement. For example, there is this owner of the Big Mike's Outdoor Sports Shop told the Sentinel News, his name is Mike Hendrickson, the ammo is on back order. I keep ordering every week, and when I got some, I don't know if it was the last week order. Anyway, they have no idea. It's not going to get better. And it's sad because 22, it is very important round for survival and also for gaming. if you need to do small games or taking care of small little game for survival, it's important. I believe also for self-defense is something do not underestimate. I'm not saying that would be my first choice. I already talked about that in the past. But for a young man, a young woman, or just somebody, also an older person, are ready to be harmed with a 22 and hit the target, since there is no recoil and the noise is very limited. So it's going to be pretty much easier to shoot than miss with a regular center fire weapon. So I would rather to have 10 young little kids armed with a 22, educated in the respect of the weapon, but part of the family. They can help. They can at least defend themselves and defend the territory you call your home or your property in case of an emergency. A rifle, 22 rifle in a good hand can be very, very lethal, okay? Especially if you know shot placement. So that's the point. Sad, but what can I say, guys? This is going to be priority now. Every time you can find a box of 22, you try to do your type of accounting, family budget. I would consider that as a priority. Now, more we go around, more we see that companies and businesses that try to pretty much exercise their right, property right, to deny our rights, called the Second Amendment, called gun-free zone. And as I said in the past, it's their right. It's your business. You have the right to choose the way you want to make or lose money. But guess what? It's not working. It's not working on many levels. For example, there are cases reported, for example, from company like Target or other different outlets right there that lately they just came out with this new gun-free zone, and robberies and after robberies. And more important, I hope that even if you are not a gun owner, but if you are a law-abiding citizen who believe in the Bill of Rights, you will not support such businesses, because I think it's very, very, how you say, illogical. I mean, to create a gun-free zone where only law-abiding citizens will pretty much obey this request. It's kind of ridiculous. For example, here we have an armed shoplifter pulls gun on an armed target security guard. So there is this armed thug that he goes on target, and he pulls the gun on this target security guard, of course, that is carrying no gun. Here we go, another case for the bad people to win. I'm not saying that you need to engage somebody just because he's stealing something, but if somebody's pulling the gun on me and I feel fearing for my life, and unfortunately, if you were at this place like Target, this chain called Target, you have no right to carry a gun. So anyway, so that's very important. There are more news coming through. There is a lot of important information that we must share, in my opinion. I really care about, for example, what's going on right now in the state of Arizona, but we must care for each other, every other state. And we must try to share also the education, that guns are just tools. They are not like bad or good. It's the person who's holding it. He can decide what to do. So that's what I'm saying, guys. Please stay tuned. Be ready for the final part of Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. We will talk about this third hour. We will talk about love, single. We have a very unique person, a freedom-loving single from Italy. And also we will talk about recipes. So, as I said, the best revenge, it's against our enemies, is to live well. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Ciao.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, and which is the second hour, and a very important topic, hunting. I've been on Facebook and I've been posting a little bit about my position when it comes down to hunting. And people sometimes, I have some sort of ideas about you just because you like guns. And of course, I exercise my First, Second Amendment every time I can in the state of Arizona. People expect to say, okay, you must be a hunter too. And I have nothing against hunters. That means, I respect everybody. I always have the same philosophy. I have rights until I infringe on other people's rights. And I say, you have choices. You can choose. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I do. It doesn't mean that my position must be imposed on others. And the reason why I'm saying this, people say, well, why we really care? The point is, being on Facebook and having a radio show, I have a lot of friends or listeners who invited me to go hunting together. And I don't want to be unpolite. I don't want to try to sound rude, but I try always to repeat the same things. I do not hunt for sport. Or even better, I do not hunt unless I am in a situation of extreme survival. It means that I would never hunt? No. If I have to survive, or if I have to defend my family or myself, or even my property, I would kill the animal. No problems. But I believe, in my opinion, especially when it comes down to mammals, that I have other options. If I have other options, I'd rather to eat something else. Simple as that. Call me a sensitive guy, maybe I am. I just don't like kill animals unless I really have to. And, in regular life, people say, but you go to I don't know, Safeway, you buy your meat. First of all, I don't know, you really even eat cows. Unless, as I said, I'm stranded somewhere, and then I would eat even a rock if I have to. I ate snakes, and they were okay when I was hungry. But by first choice, I don't like cows. And beside the health reasons or my personal reason, I believe that, animal, especially mammals, is close to me since I'm a mammal too. And if I can do something else, eat something else, maybe because my Italian background, I grew up with pasta and beans probably, I don't need that much meat. But that's okay. The point is now it's not about me anymore. I want just to tell you a little bit where I stand. But the point is how, if you are a hunter and if you want to hunt, especially in the state of Arizona, I believe it's important to know how to do it right, in the right way, in the respect of the environment, in the respect also of the safety. That's why I wanted to bring here an expert, a person that does this for a living. He teaches to others classes, hunting classes and safety classes in the state. I have here with me Jim Liesen from Lake Havasu. Jim, are you there?
I'm here, Luca. Thank you very much.
So my little intro was I clear enough, you think, that I'm not here
I think it was excellent and very clear. And I think you bring up a whole new point that most people just take for granted. A lot of people think, oh, you're into guns, so you must be into hunting too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a stereotype.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that we need to work on as a community of hunters, that not everybody is into guns for the same reason. Some people are collectors, some people are shooters, some people are accurate bench rest shooters, some people hunt, some people just like the smell of gunpowder. And there's room for all of us under this big tent.
Exactly. For example, any of my rifle I bought, every rifle, the only hunting purpose was to hunt tyranny. It was never to hunt animals.
I love that.
Of course, I can hunt if I have to in an emergency. I can get any of my rifle, especially center fire with 308. I can hunt an elephant if I have to. But my point, that wasn't the purpose. The purpose, it was to defend freedom and my person, of course.
Defend freedom and hunt tyranny. I love that.
Anyway, but regardless, as I said, I'm not here to judge. I'm not saying you what you should do, other people what they should do. But I tell you something. For example, I have a lot of people that I know that they have access to food, and normally they eat their food from sources like, grocery store or whatever. And then, of course, they go in these missions, in these trips, and they go to hunt following the laws. I'm not saying that they do anything illegal, but, for example, I don't know, if I see a family of deers, okay, and he had to get deer father, the buck, or whatever you call it, or the mother, do I really need to do that? I mean, if I was stranded or if I was living like our pioneers' fathers, in times where there was no access to other food, okay, of course, it's part of nature, like the Indians, But right now, in this time, and I'm talking for myself, I'm not saying others what should do. I know that for my body type, I don't need to have that meat unless I was really stranded, so I can eat other things. So I try to avoid. People think, okay, you're an hypocrite. You go to eat, I don't know, chickens. That's true. I eat chickens, and they're killed too. The only difference that probably I don't want to say all the animals, they are the same. And no, for me, a mammal or a wild animal like a deer, a chicken, it's a different type of breed, okay? It's not even a mammal. So I try to avoid even to eat chicken when I can. Call me. But this is me. But the point now, it's not more me. It's about all of us. The question is, you think hunting is a right, first of all? Because the Second Amendment, it is a right. But let's be clear, it is not ever was written to go to hunt. I mean, these politicians tell us, oh, the Second Amendment, because your rifle has no hunting purposes. Forget about it. The Second Amendment wasn't about hunting. It was about defending against tyranny. What do you think about it?
I agree completely. And I think the mix of stereotypes and bad information that's out there in the world and bad politics has really created a bunch of misinformation out there, and I think that shapes opinions in a poor way many times. Do I agree that hunting is a right? No, I really don't. I think that's a legislative issue based on the society compact that we have, based on how we manage wildlife. And you're right. The Second Amendment is there to defend the liberty that our government was set up under. It has nothing to do with hunting. It has nothing to do with shooting ducks, as our vice president would say.
Yeah, and for me, Jim, it's 1 second. If we were living, let's say 100 years ago, or even just in a place of America right now, even right now, that the only way to survive and to feed ourselves was hunting, I believe that was my right, was my natural right to feed
At a different
myself.
time, I would agree, sure.
Even right now, let's say you live in Alaska or in some part of Colorado, any type of wild area of America that you have no access to eat regular food, and all you can get is what you can harvest or just hunt. I think that's a right of a human being to survive.
Sure, I would agree with that.
That would be a right. Right now, though, being in this society right now, when you have access to things, I'm thinking, I still don't want to impose my opinion on others, because I think, everybody need to follow what they think is right for themselves. So all our point was, no, I don't go out to hunt for sport, but I would go for surviving. Let's talk about how it works here in Arizona, because I know also you are a qualified person to talk about this, since you are. Tell me what you are.
Yeah, I'm an Arizona Game and Fish certified hunter education instructor.
Perfect.
And what that means is that when you sign up to take a class, these are United States Hunter Ed associated classes, so there's very similar information being taught in all the classes and across the nation. And it's important to note several, let's just call them factoids, about hunter education. And you mentioned about 100 years ago, and I'll use that as an example. About 100 years ago, many of our wildlife resources were in rapid decline and in danger of extinction. And that was due to a myriad of reasons. I mean, and we can go on for hours about them, but the point is, many of the animals we know and love now that are natural and in the wild, the deer, the elk, the turkey, mountain lions, coyotes, beaver, all the animals that are out there, were many times in serious, serious decline. And in 1937, the Pittman-Robertson Act was passed. It's a federal act that says that the manufacturers of game equipment, like guns, targets, ammunition, accessories, the things that you buy when you go to a gun shop, 10%, maybe it's 7%, I forget what percentage, but a small percentage of the cost of manufacturing is added as a tax to that goes towards national wildlife conservation causes. And in the state of Arizona, we use what they call the National American Model of Wildlife Conservation. And that method is that the Arizona Game and Fish Department is charged with managing our game within the state of Arizona. It's not funded by taxpayers at all.
Wow.
The entire budget is paid for by you me or somebody like me that would hunt, that goes to buy a hunting or a fishing license. Those fees pay for Arizona Game and Fish budget. And because we have this model, they've got scientific methods and scientific ways of doing things to manage the wildlife, so that we know how many deer are out there, how many elk are out there, and how many need to be harvested before other effects get them, like starvation, disease, accidents, weather, age, and things like that.
Okay.
So through proper management, they allow only so many animals to be taken through what they call a permitting or a draw process. So when you buy your hunting license, if you wanted to go hunt for deer, for example, you apply to get your permit, or your deer tag was what they call it, and you're put into a lottery system, and if you're lucky enough to get drawn, you get to go out and do your thing. After the hunt is over, they take statistical data, and then they use that for the following year. So every single year they modify how many permits are issued and how many animals are taken, and that allows them to manage the game so that they don't get depleted in some areas and overpopulated in others.
Okay, so let me understand.
To this day, what that means is that we have more wildlife on our continent than in ever before recorded history.
So let's say, for example, I want to, this season, now when it starts this season, right now, we are in August, for example.
For most hunters, Labor Day is what we call New Year's Day.
Okay.
Because that's the start of the traditional hunting season. It's fall, and that's when we get to start shooting the migratory birds known as dove.
Okay. So you go to a shop like Walmart or to gun shops, wherever sells this license, okay? And do I apply for a license as a citizen? I mean, as a resident of the state of Arizona, can apply for a license. And if
correct.
there are different type of license, I'm trying to learn here, so sorry if I sound redundant. And let's say if I want to start to, I don't know, shooting elks, okay? You need to apply for some sort of a tag as a lottery, as you said, correct?
That's correct. So first you buy your license, and then you apply for the elk tag.
Okay. How much costs a license, for example, for the average person who lives here in the state of Arizona?
Well, for an Arizona resident tag, you can buy a fishing license or a hunting license or a combination license. So there's a various amount of fees, but if memory serves me, I think I paid about $60 for my this year combo tag.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, my combo permit. Now, once I have my license in hand, then we apply to go elk hunting, like you used in your example, and that means you write a check for about $80 more.
Wow.
And if you get your tag, great. If you don't, they rebate back most of it.
Okay, so it's like some sort of almost lottery, as you said. You put it down the money, you get your shot. Now, the question is, this is something, of course, I understand must be some sort of. We are millions of us. This is not like the Indians used to live before, and they have different type of philosophy. If every one of us go out and start to shoot at something, in 2 hours, there is nothing left. That's the bottom line. So I respect that idea that must be some sort of protection for the environment, for the animals themselves. The only thing I have as a problem, this is probably just me when I hear the word permit, I look at history, okay? For example, let's look at Italy or Europe during the Middle Ages, okay? Me, I would be like what? A regular peasant probably. And then there was the little king and there was the little lord. And when I wanted to go to get some food and I go into the bush or in the forest owned by the lord, of course, I would have to ask for a permit. If I get caught by the guardian of the forest owned by the king without permit, I would be probably executed on the spot. And the idea now, let's say, for example, I live on my own property, okay, in the middle of nowhere, or at least isolated area, remote area of Arizona. And, I'm not even talking about public land. I'm talking about private land, okay? So this is something I try to understand how it works. And I see, let's say, for example, I don't know, some wild hogs, okay, that are pretty rough. I remember in Italy we used to go, with my grandfather, we used to go hunt wild hogs. They are nasty animals, okay? They can be also very powerful and dangerous. And
they can be very destructive to your environment because most of the time they're non-native and they can dig up all your plants and all your garden area stuff and really do a lot of damage to the ground.
Exactly. I call it, by the way, they're dangerous too. They can charge you. I mean, there's some big animals, they feel they can knock you down. I met it.
I saw Old Yeller. I know how mean they can be.
Yeah. And anyway, this is my point. If I find that, like, let's say a situation like that on my property, I feel in danger, or at least I feel like, I need to calm down a little bit this problem, okay? Should I ask or should I apply for a permit to hunt on my own property?
In that regard, in the example you gave, you're allowed to hunt or to dispatch animals on your own property.
Okay, so that's a good thing to know. I'm sorry, I could do it without a permit, right?
Right. They're on your property.
Okay.
Now, those examples can also be twisted into an extreme situation, so you have to be careful about the legalities of that. But I think what you're wrestling with is the rights perception or the rights perspective of, do I have the right on my own property to manage my stuff? The answer is generally yes. The issue of hunting in the public or on other lands has to do with the sportsman's role in wildlife conservation and what we call ethics.
Yes.
Hunters' ethics are vital, and on page 10 of the Arizona Game and Fish Hunting booklet, it's a 140-page booklet. The first thing says, ethics is not only about what you should not do, but what you should do. And it has different topics. What are ethics? What are ethics with landowners and other hunters? And what about the carcass disposal? And how do we be good conservators of this resource? Because hunters have to recognize that we now in this country, and since 1937, we've regarded our wildlife as a public trust. It means that animals belong to everybody. So, we have to go ask for a permit to hunt them because we're not doing it in a poaching way. We're doing it, and not doing it in a defensive way or a starvation way. We're doing it as a social contract of propriety. We're trying to do it in an ethical and fair way so that everyone has access, but that it has to be managed to prevent those numbers from declining again.
I understand. It makes sense. As I said, if I was in an emergency situation, okay, let's say a real disaster or situation almost like Mad Max, we don't need license. We are surviving, and we do what we have to do at that point. There would be no more. But right now, I really believe it's important, to try to, first of all, create a way that these animals, they belong to the whole society. It's not just my animal. And at the same time, to be sure that it's done in the right way. That's why I want to ask a question for you. I can go apply with $70 or whatever for a license. That's fine. But there is not really any type of mandatory classes. I can go get my rifle and just be lucky and go out there in the wilderness, or there is a mandatory class before I attend a hunting journey or whatever it is.
Well, it's not mandatory, but we have some really good incentives.
Yes.
And hunter education has come a long way. When I was 13, I took my hunter ed class because it was a tradition in my family. My dad said, well, you're old enough, you're going to go take the class.
Okay.
And in many families that have hunting in their tradition, this is kind of a rite of passage. So hunter education is a terrific class, and I do recommend that people think about taking it, and here's some of the incentives. For younger people, it's a way to learn from a certified professional instead of learning from grandpa and dad. And I don't mean to disparage dad and grandpa, but if they didn't have somebody teaching them the 4 basic firearm safety rules, they may not transfer those good standards onto their kids. So the hunter ed class takes a very high approach of proper gun handling safety, proper conservation and land use safety, and it encourages ethics in hunting so that we start kids off on the right foot. And in doing so, it's a 16-hour class, and 12 of those are in the classroom, and 4 of them are what we call a field day. And these classes can be taken online for the classroom part or in the classroom. I recommend the classroom. I think that's the best way to go. And then the field day is in person, out in the field, and it's terrific. We actually have to teach people how to cross a fence alone or with somebody and transfer the guns back and forth. We teach people about the zones of fire and everything else. But the incentive is, if you take a hunter ed class, you get what we call a bonus point. And you remember the lottery we were talking about? If you wanted to go hunt elk, you get to apply for this permit.
Yes.
If you have a bonus point, it adds your name a second time into the lottery.
Wow. Okay, I understand.
So it's a huge, huge thing. For people that are, let's say you're new to hunting and you're an adult like you are, and you say, geez, Jim, I want to get into hunting. I don't know anything about it. I think I want to take a class, and I want my bonus point. That really helps that lottery system out. The second thing is, you can, in many states, like Colorado, for example, if you or I decided we wanted to go hunt in Colorado, it's very expensive. We have to buy an out-of-state non-resident hunter permit for the state of Colorado. But in Colorado, we have to also say, we passed a hunter class, or they won't let you even play the game.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in some states it's required, and we have a lot of adults that come and take the class from California in Arizona because they want to hunt in Arizona. Arizona has some of the best hunting in the whole country for certain animals.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that. I would like to know exactly, what type of games you can find here. Depends on the area, because Arizona, of course, is pretty big. You got north, west, east, a different part of Arizona. Now, my point is, and this is very important, we have at this point the choice as Americans, as citizens, also the state of Arizona, to pretty much apply or not for this license. I really think it would be a great thing to do, because it's not just about, being safe, of course, with your rifle. It would be important, but also to know exactly what type of game you can take, because I don't think you can go out there and everything you see moves, you can shoot. I mean, even let's say you have an elk tag, okay, or a deer tag. I think there is some sort, even there, criteria that what you should shoot or not. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And not only are those very, very clearly written into the laws, they're also very easily followed by the hunters in the field, very strongly enforced in the field by law enforcement, and it gets to those ethics of being a good hunter, a good conservationist, and a good conservator of the wildlife. And I'll give you an example.
Yes.
I once was drawn for deer, and I found it took 3 days to finally find some deer. I was close enough that I could have made the shot. I had them in the scope. It was just before what we call daybreak. And the rules say you're allowed to take the shot once you can discern the target. And that's, there's that moment when it's early in the morning before the sun rises where you can't see, but then a few minutes later you can see. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Well, I was waiting for that time to pass because it was about to be that time. And I was looking at 4 deer, and I was trying to make a selection based on the range and the angle of the animal and which one looked like the appropriate one. But when I realized, and I wasn't ready to shoot yet because I could not make sure of my target, and that's a basic firearm safety rule.
Yes.
When the light was finally right, I was then able to tell that none of those 4 animals were appropriate for the tag that I had. They were all does or female.
Okay.
And I was only licensed to shoot an antlered deer.
Wow. So
I had to say, well, they sure are pretty. I hope they raise a good young buck so I can come back next year.
And let's just say in case, let's say by accident, you shot the female deer that's supposed not to shoot, and you go there and say, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. What could happen to you? I mean,
you could go to jail.
Wow.
And you very well may likely go to jail.
Oh my gosh, that's serious.
It's a very serious crime, and I'll tell you what, the hunters are extremely leery of other people messing up this sport, to the extent that they will turn you in with a 1-800-STOP, or it's Operation Game Thief. There's an 800 number you can call. It's on every single license. Every single hunting license has the number on it, and every single game tag has the number on it to stop poaching and to stop people from making reckless shots. If you were to do that, by the way, if it was an honest accident and you shot the wrong animal, the right thing to do is to fess up to it and make right. And the first thing you do is make sure the animal is dispatched. You don't want a wounded animal.
Yes.
But then you pick up your own phone and you call Game and Fish and say, I just made a terrible mistake. I accidentally shot the wrong animal.
Jim, please don't go away. Stay tuned because we're going to go now for the second part of the second hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna and Jim Liesen.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart.
Here we go, second part of the second hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna and Jim Liesen. It's a very important topic, hunting. Normally we talk about guns, tactics, defensive, and freedom. And of course, for me, the gun and the weapon, it's a tool to defend freedom. But, this is an important topic because people... Part of freedom is also, I believe, to sustain yourself. And the only reason why and how myself as a person, as my personal choice, I would consider to hunt, if I am stranded, if I have an emergency situation, I need to survive, I would eat whatever I need to do or whatever I need to hunt. But regardless, I believe it's a very important information we are sharing here with Mr. Jim Liesen, that before you go hunt, before you apply for your license or your tag, it's important to take a class. It's not just about being able to be safer. Of course, firearm instruction and firearm safety, it's vital on every time you touch a weapon. But I think it's also important to know what you can do, what you cannot do, because as we were talking just a few minutes ago, Jim, there are very serious laws that if you break those laws, you could find yourself in jail just shooting the wrong animal.
Absolutely.
So right now we understand that you must first of all understand what animals are we talking about, because like say somebody like me that sometimes doesn't even understand the difference between a buck and what is the deer or whatever.
A doe?
Yeah.
A female deer?
Exactly. I would be in trouble right there, I need to ask, are you a female or are you a man? I mean, or you a boy or whatever you are anyway. But anyway, this is important. So the class normally it's about how many hours? 16 hours you said?
It's a 16-hour class to go through Arizona Game and Fish Hunter Ed, yes.
Okay, and I know that you do this for a living also. You offer your service.
I do Hunter Ed for free.
Oh, for free?
Hunter education is free. If you want to come and take a class, you go to the Arizona Game and Fish website, you book a class. We're going to have the first one in Lake Havasu between the deer and the elk season hunts, which will be late September or early October. Right now, there's several of them scheduled up in Bullhead City and Fort Mojave, and then up in Kingman too.
Okay.
So we've got 3 new instructors in Lake Havasu. I'm one of them, but we're going to start having more classes here. There's a lot of demand for it, but we just haven't had the manpower. But it's a free to the community service, and it's a class I strongly encourage people to take because it really gets kids started off on the right foot. Being taught by Arizona Game and Fish people instead of Grandpa and Dad. And there's a lot of... You mentioned before something really important, and I didn't take off on it. You mentioned to preserve, to self-preserve yourself. If you're in out in the environment, you had to preserve. But let's talk about the hunting culture for a second. And you mentioned preparation for hunting season 2, and this is all part of it. For many, many, many families, hunting is not just a tradition, it's part of the culture. And when I go hunting every year, it's a family event. I get to see some family that I haven't seen all year, and we get to sit around a campfire, and we get to talk about the ethics, and we talk about the game, and we talk about how to track and how to do all these things that are vital skills that I know you enjoy, other than the hunting part. But we get to talk about what's happened in the year. We get to talk about the game and what's important about conservation. And all those traditions, I think, need to be preserved, just like I feel camping is a vital thing in this country that seems to be on the wayside.
Yes, I completely understand, and you're right. There is another aspect. It is not just the hunt; it's also the social aspect. And as I say, everybody has their cultural background, and they also have their moral background. Because let's say, for example, you talk to a Buddhist or I don't know some other religion that they believe that even an ant should be considered as life. That's their right to do what they think. And that's why I think it's good now that everybody can choose. My only purpose of the show is if you have to hunt, at least please do it the right way, because it's important. It's not just going out there and, it also is bad for the gun ownership. I hate when people give a bad reputation to the rest of us. Even, of course, I'm not a hunter, but as a gun owner, I see bad habits and bad behavior. And people that they, for example, go out and in the desert and trying to do things that I believe they are wrong. I don't even like to go out and shoot at, canteens or, like little cans or things like that. For me, when I go shoot, it's a serious matter, and I try to do something in a professional way, even in the respect of the environment. I don't like to shatter glass or things like that. And I see sometimes people start to shoot at rabbits and things like that I think is wrong, especially done when you don't need it. For example, talking about rabbits, since you know all these things, if you have rabbits hanging around, you see a rabbit and you're on public land, you cannot shoot them unless you have a license, correct?
That's right.
So there's a special license for rabbits?
Nope, it's just a general hunting license.
So let's repeat for the public. If you have a general license, you can do rabbits, and what else you can do?
Well, there's a wide variety of game in Arizona, and you were asking about that before as well. The only one, it allows you to hunt all of them in the right season with the proper tools and during certain times of the day and in certain locations. There's a map divided up, kind of like a county map with all the different game areas.
Yes.
If you want to apply for what they call big game, those are the tagged animals which have the lottery attached to them. Those are the more managed game like antelope, elk, buffalo, bighorn sheep, deer, and such like that.
Okay. So let's say for the average animals like rabbits or coyotes or things like that, the average license would do it.
That's right.
Okay. Now, talking about rifles, I know that, you cannot go out there with an AK-47 30 rounds and start to shoot everything moves. You must have...
Well, you can technically legally do that now, whereas before you could not.
Tell me.
You used to have a limit of only 5 rounds in the gun.
Okay.
Which is 4 plus 1.
Okay.
Or 3 plus 1, depending on what you were using, like a shotgun for fowl or a rifle for game animals. They just changed a few laws that are kind of critical this year. You can go out with a high capacity or full capacity magazine now. But here's the thing, Luca. There's a lot of people that think you could just go out there with a 30-round magazine and just shoot up the woods. An ethical hunter would choose his game, would stalk his game, and try to get within range and make an ethical shot. If I witness somebody just discriminately going, oh, there's some animals, bang, 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 and watching them all run away wounded, I'd be the first one to call 1-800-352-07,000 and turn them in for poaching. because I get a reward. There's several $1,000s reward for people that do that sort of thing.
Wow.
If you're out in a hunting situation, you're very likely only going to get one good shot, and it has to be right.
Yeah, because they run. I mean, the animal, as they hear the noise, boom, the moment the sound breaks, is going to be all dispersed. I mean, if it's more than one.
Sometimes they run. Sometimes they look at you and say, "Where'd that come from?" Sometimes they drop in their tracks.
That's true.
So
Now,
you have to be ready to make a follow-up shot.
Mm-hmm.
And but would I use a 30-round magazine? Me, myself, no. I'm a single-shot guy. I'm a handgun guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like taking difficult, precise shots. But, a lot of times people don't realize getting within range during hunting season is very challenging. It's not at all like feeding them out of your hand at Wallapai Mountain Park.
Oh, I agree. It's like an art. It's
like a real thing.
That's why the best, normally in the history of military, of our soldiers as a scout, as snipers, hunters always had an edge, because you need to go out there. Your prey, it's part of even getting close without being detected. It's an art.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about
and tracking. You have to know what kind of tracks you're looking for, and then that helps you get in the same neighborhood and all that stuff. So it can be very challenging.
Yeah, I like to, what I like to do, because I'm always open to learn. That's the purpose of the show for me. It's learning, learning from each other. Whatever I learn, I try to share, and sometimes I'm the first one to learn from my guest. I would like to attend one of the hunting classes.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, because, I may not hunt with the rifle, but I may hunt with my camera. I would like to get know more the animals. I have a video camera with zoom, and I like to do that and trying to learn, especially on my properties. I have several pieces of land around here that I like to go out and start to study animals, start to put them on video. And, you never know. I mean, one day maybe, normally, as I said, as a choice, I try to eat less animals as possible. And I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. I eat eggs. I eat cheese. As I said, when I can, or when I find organic chicken, I get organic chicken. I got my chickens too, but I'm too soft-hearted to kill them. I just look at them. I get the eggs from them. I'm kind of interesting, different. But I like to know, because the point, you never know when you may need it. And if you need it, you better know to do it right. I mean, yes, I could get a target down, but as you said, it's not just about shooting the animal. It's about tracking the animal. It's about learning also what type of animals we are talking about. You can't just assume,
Well, you're absolutely right, and there's some interesting skill sets that come along with hunting that are different than other kinds of shooting. For example, if you and I went to the shooting range and I put targets out at various ranges up to, say, 300 yards, and let's just say I stapled a piece of a pie plate, like a paper plate. If I stapled a paper plate to various target stands and put them at various angles, they may not be square to you.
Yes.
And I didn't allow you to see those targets. And I said, okay, Luca, the blindfold's off. Shoot the second one from the left, and you have 3 seconds. You would have to determine the range, determine if you could make that shot, and then make that shot. And now that would be easy on a range, because you wouldn't have things like brush and trees and the disguise of the animal in its own habitat, and I would be telling you where the shot was. So there's a lot that goes into the rapidity of shooting at a game animal, and you have to make the decision to make that shot, because maybe he's moving, or maybe you have to wait till he moves, or maybe he's about to bolt. So it's a different kind of a game, and it's hard to describe, I suppose. But I'd love to see you in a class. I think you'd have things to share in the class that would be very valuable as well.
Yeah, but I'll be there more. That for me would be to learn, and to learn everything, and something that they say, learn the art and put it on the side. It's something that you never know. And as I said, for me, eating, it's something, of course, we have to do, like we all do. But I have choices now, And
we have wonderful choices. And that's one of the neat things about game as well. Most people don't realize that the food that we buy in the grocery store is, even the organic stuff that supposedly comes, pesticide free. Most of that stuff is horrible food by comparison to game. I like to tell my friends, hunting is the perfect organic food. It's raised in the wild. It's free range. It's 100% chemical free. It was wild. It makes it even more delicious, just like those garden fresh eggs are compared to the store-bought eggs. And it's so much more healthy than store-bought meat. So I like to tell all my vegan friends that If it weren't for hunters being able to shoot the animals away from all the farmers, the animals would come in and eat all their vegan food.
That's true. That's true. And on top, of course, there are other ways also to protect your farm areas. Depends. But regardless, for sure, I would never eat meat out of the regular store. I don't like to eat, I say, beef, period. But when it comes now, especially this ground stuff that you call meat, it's like slime. it's like hormones, estrogen. I mean, antibiotic. It's terrible. Even the way they kill the animal is very important. You know that. If the animal see it coming, it's going to be rushed with adrenaline, and you're going to have this adrenaline in the muscles, and you're going partially also have that part of the adrenaline in your body. That's why I think it's very important also, if you have to kill the animal, to be a clean cut. Because it almost you don't want a humane death, you want to call it like that. You don't want to give extra suffering, and you don't want to even have extra time that you need to suffer this poor animal. That's the only way I think should be done. That's why you need to be not just learning the laws, but also be a good marksman. You can just shoot and try to get it. I mean, one shot should do it.
Well, it should, and it's part of the ethics of hunting, too. One of the teachers that certified us not too long ago to do this hunter training class, we went on, I mentioned before we had the field day. That's after the 12 hours of classroom instruction. There's the 4 hours in the field instruction. And what we do is we set up a course where we do kind of a walk-along. And it's maybe a 100 or 200-yard walk, and we get to see things as we go, like crossing a fence and, oh, look, there's an animal. Is that a safe shot or is it a not safe shot? Because there might be a road behind it or something like that. We get to a point in the little walk around, and we make our shot, and he says, great, that was a good shot, but the animal just scurried off in the bushes. What do you do next? And my answer was, well, I take point of where I am, because when I go down there to track the animal, I don't want to get disoriented and lost, because that's down in a wooded area. Now, that's the right answer, but it was for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
He said, no, you've got the right answer. You wait a while. But the reason is ethics. And we all asked why. He said, well, if you shot an animal that is going to die, you mortally wounded it, if you chase it down, it might scare the animal, increase that adrenaline that you're talking about, and cause it more harm and a more painful death. It's a less ethical way to die. And it may have only gone a few yards. It most likely did only go a few yards. But if it doesn't know what happened, it'll lay down and it will go to sleep.
Wow, I understand.
Now what he said was, when you shoot an animal like that, do what Jim just said. You make the point of where you are so you don't mess it up, but eat an energy bar and wait 30 minutes. And then go down there and track that animal, and you'll find it dispatched dead on its own, as opposed to having to do follow-up shots and chasing them through, because a wounded animal can run a mile or two in just a few seconds.
Yes, it's true.
And then you got to track it, you got to get it, and then you have the hard part of getting that animal back out to the butcher and everything else. So part of ethical hunting is to think of these things.
Question: if you're on the field, okay, and you go in there is some private property, but there are no signs, and you see like an animal, are you allowed by the law to go? You see the house, okay? For example, you see that there is 1 mile away, there is a house, and there is a fence. By the fence, there is an opening. Are you allowed to cross that fence according to the Arizona laws for hunting?
Well, it's up to every hunter to know where he is and where his boundaries are. And because there's so many boundaries, it's hard to distinguish that with an open question like that. But the answer would be, if I were in that situation, I would know before I saw that animal if I was allowed to do it or not. Okay? I wouldn't be allowed to just discriminately shoot and then wonder if it was in the right spot or not. It's a very important distinction to know where your boundaries are. And many times these boundaries between hunting areas or between Indian reservation land and public lands are very generally marked with this road or this fence line or this county demarcation or the stream bed or something like that. So they're not terribly hard to know, but you need to know them as you go. The hunter regs, they come out every year. It's a 100-and-something page newsprint booklet. It details all of those, and all of the detail is in there. And I always recommend that people take this with you when you hunt, because if you're in an area you're not familiar, you can refer to this like a Bible. It'll show you everything you need to know. Now, in your scenario, if we were more than a mile away from a building, that's a good rule. Thank you for knowing that one. And we were if we were in public land and we shot an animal and it ran and jumped over the fence onto private land, with the permission of the owner, we can go onto that private land and recover the animal. It's good ethics to go talk to that owner before you even encounter an animal and say, hey, I'd like to help hunt this area. I'll do it cleanly. I'll do it ethically. Do you mind if we hunt on your land? He'll either say no or okay.
Okay. So
it's very important that hunters continue the tradition of closing a fence after you go through a gate. You know, you never leave a gate open. All those kind of things are important because it's a privilege. It's an invitation to hunt on someone's land. It's not a right to go shoot on somebody else's private land.
Good. That's what I exactly wanted to understand. Because, for example, in Italy, for what I remember, there are little different type of basic laws, you know, and if you are, unless you post a sign specifically, no hunting, but you have a private property and you, of course, enough distance from any type of housing or any type of habitation, technically you're allowed to go on their property. And that's, I found always a little disturbing because it's supposed to be my property. Unless I put a sign, people they say, okay, whatever. So I think it's very important. I think property rights, they must be defended too in this situation. And I understand that many places.
And rightfully so, if you own the land
yes.
and you want nobody to hunt on it, you need to put the posted no hunting signs liberally. Put them all over the place so nobody can make that mistake. Because I generally don't think hunters are bad people. I think they're all mostly good people that have good intentions. But it's easy to make a mistake.
I understand.
So it's important to just be well notified when you're out in the field.
The most important thing that we should share about safety, besides the basic gun safety laws that we already went through a few times with you, and rules that we talk. When you are on the field, what is the most important safety basic concept that we should follow or hunters should follow?
Well, that's a great question because I can answer it several ways. If we're holding a gun in our hands, because I'm assuming we're hunting in the field, then muzzle control is absolutely number one. If we're out on a hunt, we could be hunting with our camera, like you mentioned before, or we could just be bird watching. But we could be hunting just the same. Whether we're out to kill the animal or not is a different thing. And in that event, hydration and general health is critical. Because, believe it or not, most hunters die by heart attack.
Wow.
They go out in the field, they get all ready all year long, but they don't get physically ready. They don't go, you got to start walking a mile or two before you go hunting, every day for several weeks before you go hunting. People have heart attacks out in the field. They're out doing strenuous activity at high altitudes in inclement weather, and they're out there all alone. So be safe with yourself first. And if you're carrying a gun, muzzle control is always number one.
Are you allowed to carry also a side weapon like a handgun for safety? Because let's say, for example, I'm on the field and I have is like a bolt-action rifle that would be great for long, medium distances. But if I have like an encounter with a wild animal, a close distance, I would like to have always a weapon on me.
That's an excellent question, and the answer is they just changed that law.
Okay.
So you asked a perfect question because a lot of people may not be aware of this. In the past, you were not, but now you are. And let's just say, for example, you're bow hunting or you're camera hunting, and you're out there and you get accosted by a two-legged predator. Yes, you can have your 9mm or your .45 on your side, and you can use that to defend yourself. Same thing if it were a mountain lion or a coyote that's rabid or something of that nature. What's very important to know, though, is this. Let's say you shoot an animal. Let's say you went elk hunting. You shot the elk, and you tracked the elk, but it wasn't dead and you needed to dispatch the animal.
Yeah.
You cannot use your sidearm. You have to use the rifle.
Makes sense. I understand.
Okay, that's also written into the law. Yeah. You are allowed to carry a sidearm for defensive purposes. And that was brought up, by the way, because of the bow hunters. The bow hunters are out there with an archery set up, and that may not be the appropriate defensive weapon against a bear who may be wandering by or may become aggressive because you're out hunting the same animal, maybe a deer. So it was changed just recently, so that's a great question.
Perfect, because, regardless, I like always to carry my side weapon. Honestly, would be even enough. If I'm in the wilderness, I would like something more than that. But I think it's a very important thing to know because you go out there, you hunter, and you got your, rifle. Normally, it's a bolt action most of the time. And you must be prepared also for other situations. As I said, the two legs animal is the worst, in my opinion, especially when maybe you're disrupting some illegal trafficking or things like that. And
exactly. Or you might stumble across a pot farm out in the forest.
Exactly. So it's very important. This is very good. This is just for the state of Arizona, correct? This is Arizona state law. So every state is different. For the listeners, please don't take this as a legal advice, but check with your state laws.
Very well said.
Perfect. Lisa, I really appreciate it. This is a great information. As I said, wasn't about me and sharing, trying to impose my beliefs. Of course, I said, my main meal, it's pasta e fagioli, pasta and beans. I'm an Italian background, and I love that, but this is me. But at the same time, I'm not here to say it. Everybody must follow their heart. Everybody must follow their consciousness, and also their background, ethical and also cultural background. Even in my family, I must tell you, people think in Italy don't hunt. Probably the only way you can get a rifle is called a shotgun, technically, most of the time. In Italy, it's for hunting purposes. So there is a big tradition in Italy about hunting.
Sure.
And I remember my both grandfathers brought me in some hunting fields. And they tried to tell me the same things you're telling me. It was just me, my nature. I say, Granddad, I think you're right. It's great things to learn. I love the noise and the bang, and I like to shoot, but I don't like to shoot at animals. Sorry. And I was kind of, a black duck in the family because everybody liked to shoot at animals. And I said, I don't really feel like that. I mean, I can eat some other stuff before I kill that. But if I'm hungry, yeah.
One of my favorite hunters in the whole world uses a long-range camera lens.
Uh-huh.
And he's got more trophies on his wall in his living room in the form of 8x10 color photographs than I do. And he has to do the same things. He has to stalk the animal, he has to pick the animal, and he has to go click with the trigger finger, and he trips the trigger on his shutter of his camera. He doesn't use a gun.
Very good. Listen, Jim, I appreciate it. How can people reach you in case they want to have classes with you or information?
Well, you can always go to apexarmsaz.com, but for hunter education, I recommend www.azgfd.gov. That's Arizona Game and Fish Department.gov.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit freedomlovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. freedomlovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we are, hour number 3 with love. This is Luca Zanna, Love, Guns, and Freedom, and we have a special guest today. In the third hour, I always say we want to share individual singles. I call them freedom-loving singles. They are individuals who love freedom. And as I said before, freedom has no boundaries. Normally, we always had great people from the United States of America. Today, we have a very special guest. Also, is a friend of mine. I met him on Facebook. He's from Turin, Italy, and is a maestro. I call him maestro, means he's a professional musician. And we will talk a little bit more about that. His name is Robbie Ronco from Torino, Turin, Italy. Hey, Robbie, how you there?
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Robert. Play violin in Italy in the orchestra.
Okay, so you play violin in the orchestra in Italy. Exactly which orchestra, Robert? Where?
Sinfonica of Sanremo.
Sanremo, wow. So you're a professional violinist. And by the way, I also found out that you're also a very good singer. I saw a beautiful video that you uploaded on freedomlovers.us about you on a cruise ship singing opera. What exactly do you also sing for a living?
Living?
You sing for living, canti per vivere, come lavoro.
Yes. I sing for live.
Very good. So you also like, what type of music do you sing? Che tipo di musica canti?
Classic, pop, jazz, blues.
Okay, let's do that. Since we are doing something live right now, and I'm sure people can have a chance to listen to you and watch you on the video that you uploaded on freedomlovers.us. Maybe you can give us a little bit of, just a little taste here talking across the ocean right now on lovegunsfreedom.com. Roberto, give us a little introduction of some area that you like. I don't know, a cappella, something that you like. Una canzone, una parte di una canzone che ti piace.
Partirò paesi, eccetera, eccetera, eccetera.
Come on, continue, don't be cheap, come on.
No,
Anyway, but you're good, man, I like that. I saw your video, I think you're really good. I like also your violin, but I didn't know that you're also such a good singer. Tell us a little bit about you. Do you like to cook? I mean, who is normally in the kitchen, in charge of your kitchen? Your woman or would be you? Ti piace cucinare? Chi sta in cucina? La donna o te? Diciamo, chi piace?
Woman. Why I disaster in the kitchen.
You're a disaster. Okay, so in the kitchen you suck. Okay, that's good. At least we know it. But at this point, you must be able to clean the dishes. Pulisci i piatti almeno?
Yes.
Good. So you don't cook, but you clean dishes. You sing opera. You play violin. You seem like a very good candidate for freedomlover.us. Now, tell us a little bit about you. When did you come to America? I know that you were here years ago, and you had a pretty positive experience, according to what you told me. Quando sei venuto in America l'ultima volta?
2010.
2010. Okay, you need to start to speak better English, though. Okay, otherwise these American women, they're not going to be able to communicate with you. Come fai a parlare con le donne americane se non parli l'inglese, Mr. Ronco? Allora, Liste, when did you come to America? What did you do? Did you were here working?
Working.
Working.
For speak with the hand.
Ok, cosa facevi per lavorare quando sei venuto in America?
Cosa facevo per lavorare? Sono venuto come turista.
Oh, come turista. Okay, so you were here as a tourist yet. But you have dreams, I know that. You would like to come to America and do what exactly? What would you like to do to America? Cosa vorresti fare in America? Hai dei sogni?
Yes. Una vita con il mio lavoro, con la musica, in una città che mi offre le possibilità di poter suonare.
Okay, he says that he would like to come here in America, to America, and to find out the opportunities of his life, with music, of course, and he would like to find a town that you could, where you could somehow share his talent. What is the town that you dream that you could be able to perform and share your talent? Quale città vorresti venire?
Las Vegas, Reno, Atlantic City, dove può offrire un tipo di lavoro musicale, dove c'è una vita, diciamo, basata più sull'intrattenimento.
Okay, so you want to come into a big city where somehow there is an opportunity for entertainment that you can perform and you art. Tell us a little bit about now your personal life, I mean, you supposedly you're a single, at least you told me that you're looking for freedom love in singles. So, what is your ideal woman? Chi è la tua donna ideale?
Una donna bionda.
So you want a blonde woman. Well, I would like to ask you why most of the Italians always have this blonde stereotype. Okay, so you want a blonde woman. Americana and blonde. American blonde. Okay. Now, beside blonde, everybody can buy a wig, or you can paint tint your hair or whatever, dye your hair. A parte il colore del biondo, quali sono le caratteristiche? Which type of characteristic of as a human being you would like to have in a woman? Che tipo di caratteristiche?
Caratteristiche, la semplicità, l'umorismo.
Okay, to be simple and have a little bit sense of humor. Now try in English if you can. Otherwise, you're never gonna get your American blonde here, okay? Because they need to talk to you. I'm not gonna be here with you, between you and the woman, be your interpreter, your translator, okay?
Sì.
Praticamente.
E mangi anche al McDonald's, eh?
What? So you
mangi al McDonald's.
You want a woman that eats at McDonald's? Vuoi una donna che mangia al McDonald's?
I like.
You like McDonald's?
Yes.
Oh God, no, Robbie Ronco. Now you really lost 100 points, at least with me. You know, if you eat McDonald's, okay, you're gonna die probably in few months. Okay, seriously. But regardless, that's your choice. You know, if you want to do that, it's your choice. I don't think you're gonna find many smart women that they're going to follow you at McDonald's. Seriously, non penso che troverai molte donne che ti seguiranno a McDonald's, ok? Che fa schifo.
No, ma diciamo così, per cambiare la mia dieta mediterranea.
Okay, because you want to change your Mediterranean diet. Beside the Mediterranean diet, there are many other diets. I wouldn't consider McDonald's a diet. I would consider probably a way to go to the doctor, okay, and getting sick. But that's okay. Let's talk about something else. Politically, who is your ideal person that somehow inspire you as idea of freedom, independence? Does not need to be an American person. Could be also an Italian political person. Yes.
I like the liberali, and in Italy Lega Padana, Umberto Bossi.
Okay, Lega Padana, Umberto Bossi. I remember him when I was in Italy. Let me just explain a little bit to our listeners. Mr. Bossi was the first one to create this idea of federalism, to detach and decentralize the central power, because Rome supposedly is the center of and controls the rest of Italy, and control all the finances, all the taxation, and there is not much freedom left to the individual areas and regions. It's very central system. It's very sad because there's a lot of corruption, I can guarantee that, and also completely deprive the opportunity to local people to share and enjoy the results of their labor, of their work. Because you have, for example, the north part of Italy that produces very much, and it goes completely filtrated through Rome and redistributed to the south in a very socialistic way that is also castrate mentally and morally and also economically the people who produce. I just said, Robert, the idea that Mr. Bossi had come un'idea di decentralizzazione, federalizzazione dell'Italia. Robert, yes. When are you planning to come to America?
I think in the last 2014.
Okay, so in few months, we're almost there.
Yes,
at the end of 2014. September, October 2014. So if somebody wants to meet you, there is a great opportunity. They can find you at freedomlovers.us. And also, be in touch. Meanwhile, please learn some more English so you can communicate better. And I want to leave you right now with the last phrase, the romantic phrase, la frase romantica di Roberto Ronco to all the American women. Go ahead, Robert.
Kiss me.
That was not really romantic. It was kind of lame, but it's okay. Thank you, Roberto. Stay well.
Sorry.
No, come on. I'll give you one more shot. One more shot. Little more, something a little deeper, okay, please.
Ciao.
You say ciao?
No,
You went even less. Come on, Roberto. You are supposed to be a romantic Italian lover. Give us something very romantic before I close. Come on. So far.
It's difficult in English for me.
Okay, come on, no excuses. Tell me in Italian, I will translate for you.
Aspetta un attimo, fermati un secondo.
Okay, you're a musician, but as a poetry you suck a little bit, ok? Come poeta non vai molto bene.
No, non ci ho pensato io a questo.
Okay, come on. I am now here, a beautiful American lady, blonde as you wish. E sono qui davanti a te, bionda, una donna americana, e aspetto, and I wait for your love romantic phrase. Come on, move your butt.
E dico, vi amo tutte, fatevi avanti, che vuoi che ti dica?
Okay. I'm not going to translate that. Anyway, Robert, thank you very much. Stay tuned. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Ciao.
Ciao Luca.
Nessun tolpa, nessun tolpa. Tu pure principessa e la tua fredda stanza guardi le stelle e tremano d'amore e di speranza. Al mio mistero chiuso in me, il nome mio nessun saprà. Oh no, sulla mia bocca io dirò quando la luce ed il mio bacio scioglierà il silenzio e ti le guardate tramontate stelle tramontate stelle all'alba vincerò
That was Roberto Ronco from Turin, Italy, Torino. The guy doesn't know how to speak English, but at least he knows how to sing. Okay, it was a very good performance of Turandot, great aria. I like it very much. It's a great video you can watch on freedomlovers.us. So right now we have also another guest. This time is a woman, is an American woman, and she's an American woman, and she's blonde. So I'm sure that Mr. Roberto Ronco, he will be listening. But Petrio Patricia from Henderson, Nevada, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm actually from Boulder City.
Oh, sorry, Petrio Patricia. Thank you very much. Did you have a chance to listen to Mr. Roberto Ronco from Turin, this new freedom-loving single, so he said?
Well, yes, thanks for giving me the opportunity. In fact, that's why you said you called me out of the blue, to have me listen to this guy who likes blondes.
Yeah, you are blonde, and I met you in person, so I know you are blonde, so I wanted to have your feedback as an American blonde woman. What do you think about him?
Well, I definitely don't like his diet, that's for sure. I think if he cooked Italian food really well, that could help make up for some of the language barrier. But the fact that he wants to drag a woman to McDonald's is kind of disappointing. I don't even know what he looks like yet, honestly.
You can go to freedomlovers.us. He's also open a profile, and you can watch his video. He has a good video. I think he has a very good voice. Even I think he's a better violinist. He's a professional violinist. But, you can take a look of his physical appearances. I think it's subjective. But, yeah, I agree with you. This McDonald's diet is kind of discouraging for me. Even if I was, I don't know. I would never go there anyway, period. But for a woman, I think...
especially for me, because, I'm really particular about the food that we eat.
Exactly, and me too. I like organic food. I understand the dangers of GMO, and McDonald's, in my opinion, not even my dogs should deserve to be treated like that in such not humane way. Eating the McDonald's, it's not even a dog should have that type of treatment. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about him. What do you think about that? This man idealizes, this blonde. What's going on here? Why a blonde? I don't understand.
Well, I run into a lot of men in my line of work, and as you know, I work in the hospitality industry, and strangely, it's something that might be universal, not just with Italians. Maybe men just like blondes. I don't know.
Interesting. I like every woman. I don't have problems with colors because I think at the end of the day, colors can always be changed. Everything is a package. Is your personality, is your eyes, it's your face, it's your body, it's your soul. It's not just you can paint your hair. That doesn't make you.
I do have to say this though. Think about Marilyn Monroe with dark hair. I don't think that she would have had the same appeal. I think about Pamela Anderson on Baywatch. If she were running along the beach with just, light brown hair, it wouldn't have had the same striking appeal, that same flashiness, and caught people's eyes quite the same. And think about the Barbie doll.
Well, that's true.
Another classic example, another classic blonde.
That's true. Maybe there is something psychological that I just missed, but I understand. Blonde for sure captures the imagination probably of the average man out there, I guess. Maybe I'm not really average. I have no problems with brown, black, red, yellow. I like even blue hair, honestly. I like every type of hair. Anyway, what do you think about him? When he's coming to America, I know that he said that he will come around the end of this year. Maybe would you like to meet him for a coffee? I'll be there.
McDonald's?
No, the McDonald's, no. I will be there with you. I want to be some sort of a witness, because
I'd have to be a translator.
Exactly. For start, he needs the translator. That's for sure. He needs to hire me as a translator. But I think he's a kind of interesting guy. I like the way that, first of all, he's no more a kid, but he idealizes America like I did when I was in Italy. I understand his feelings. I understand his dreams. I also understand that somehow he needs to come here to understand what's going on, because as much I know that Italy is still worst, we pretty much is a terrible economic and political situation. He needs to understand that here we are pretty much becoming the same, and but still, I like the spirit of the fresh wannabe immigrant who loves the idea to come to America as a place to exercise his rights, and more important, also to find his own personal, freedoms, and become the best he can be. The guy is a very good musician. I think he would have a lot of opportunities here. But let me know the final thought about him. What do you think? What type of suggestion or tips would you like to give to Roberto Ronco to interact with other American women when he comes here?
Well, he has to learn some different romantic phrases. I think if he goes on a first date with someone and the first thing that comes to his mind is kiss me, that might be the end of the date, and it might not be the end of the way that he's dreaming. So he might end up going back to Italy unless he learns some new romantic phrases.
Yes, he needs to do more, because I think also the average person, especially woman in America, definitely deserves better than just kiss me, and expects better from an Italian man that's supposed to be a romantic guy. He's a musician.
He doesn't even cook. Come on.
He doesn't cook. He doesn't speak English. And come on, he can't sing all night. He needs to start to do something else, okay? But anyway, Liste, Patricia, I really appreciate your input. And since you're there, I know you're still pretty much active on freedomlovers.us. Any type of activity, something that you noticed lately, any new singles that you like to mention?
Oh, well, there's some really smart and articulate people there, that's for sure. There are a couple I could name, but you kind of put me on the spot right now.
You feel free to name. This is a public place. You can name their nickname or whatever, something that comes to your attention.
Well, there is Perino, Autisto, Cyclops Diver, and oh gosh, if I don't name all the ones who I think are really interesting people with a lot to offer, I'll feel bad.
Very good. And what would you like to give them? Maybe some sort of little advice or friendly tips? Because sometimes I realize that some of the men, this is probably the most problem with men, with boys, they don't fill their profile. They seem like almost lazy. They just slap their photo and they think that's it,
So you're asking me what?
Yeah, I ask you, what do you think? I mean, maybe they should do a little better than just slap their photos. I mean, a little bit of encouragement to...
Well, if they're halfway, they're not going to have anyone meet them halfway, if that makes sense. They need to actually apply themselves, just like with anything in life. The same advice we had for your friend from Italy is... actually apply yourself, actually try to communicate with people, with women. The same thing for American men, it's the same thing.
You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we are, our number 3. Love, Guns and Freedom, with your host, Luca Zanna. And this is the final part of the hour number 3. That means we are right now in the hour of love. We already met our freedom-loving single, and now it's about food. And the food that I somehow talk here, it is not just food for pleasure. Of course, I think it's beautiful to enjoy or to eat food that you enjoy, even when you, let's say, for the survivalist or for the prepper, we should always look at food that is enjoyable, it's healthy, that we would use every day. And it's also economical. I believe that times are tough and they're going to get tougher. And there are some food I believe that they are very tasty and can be very, enjoyable to eat them, but they're not really cost effective. Instead, there are some foods that I believe that they are really, really important also because they can be stocked and somehow hoarded. I like the word to hoard. I like to hoard pasta, for example, or more important also proteins. Proteins that not necessarily must come from animal sources. And why I'm saying that? As I said before, in the second part of the show, we talk about hunting. I have no problem if I had to hunt for self-defense or for survival, okay? If I had to kill an animal in extreme situation to eat or to feed my family, I would do that. But I would like to have options. I would like to have choices. I also believe that as humans, on 2 legs, not necessarily we were made to be carnivore. We can eat pretty much everything, that's true. But we are not like cats, we are not like lions or dogs. If you see, for example, if you look at our intestinal tract, it is not like the one of a feline or carnivore, like an animal, like a dog, very short and straight. They can eat rocks and plug them out fast. Our intestinal tract, it's very long, and you'll notice that it's kind of not exactly what you call a straight line. So everything you put there, let's say, for example, meat, okay, especially red meat, has the tendency, not even the tendency, it's the fact that it will stay there for days. And what happens when red meat stays in your intestinal tract? It starts to putrefy and create toxins. So now I'm not trying to tell you that you must become a vegan or a vegetarian. I am not that, but that would be your choice, of course. I have no problem. Whatever you want to do, it's you. What I say I would like to share here in this show, recipes that also give you the opportunity to stay healthy, to have all the proteins a body needs to thrive, not just to eat and survive, with pleasure, that means also with good taste. At the same time, try to also see what could be better also for your body. I mean, I know some people that if they don't have their meat every day, they would pretty much crash. Their body somehow it's used to that, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing, that's your choice. All I'm saying that we can find always alternative to other sources of protein, especially animal proteins. Today, coming down to the recipe of today, it's something that was very, for me, a staple when I was in Italy. I was a kid. I used to like a lot lentils, also called lenticchie. Lenticchie or lentils, it's a poor food, it's a very simple food. It is very affordable. For example, I can buy 1 pound of lenticchie, organic lenticchie, for much less what could be, let's say, a pound of meat, okay? And then you have to see what type of meat, if it's organic or if it's just regular slop meat, full of estrogen and bad things. But regardless now the ethical aspect to eat meat or not, I look also the economical aspect and the more important, the health aspect. I believe lentils, for me, they work in a great way. And let me tell you why. First of all, lentils, they are low in calories, high in nutrition, and they are the perfect legume, how you say, that you can eat pretty much everywhere in every season, not just winter time with soup, but also you can have them in summer with salads, crackers, everything. Let me give you some, for example, before we go with the recipe, let me give you what type of benefits normally you get with lentils. First of all, lowering cholesterol, they help to reduce blood cholesterol since they contain a very high levels of fiber. That's very important. It's a natural fiber, okay? So let's say if you already have some cholesterol problem, eating more meat is not going to really help you out. But that's your choice. As I say, with freedom comes responsibility. If you want to die of heart attack, or if you want to feel like you're exploding every time your heart is ready to jump, go ahead, eat more pork or whatever you want to eat. But lentils, they're really good to lower your cholesterol, okay? And they keep your arteries clean. Then for your heart, they have a very great studies. They show that eating high-fiber foods like lentils can reduce your risk of heart diseases. They also have a great source of folate and magnesium. They're really important to your heart health. Without getting too much in details, they have these elements that they are very important to improve your blood flow, oxygen and nutrients that go through the body. And I give you an example. When I eat lentils, I feel energetic. I don't feel tired. If I have a piece of meat, especially red meat, something I don't do in a long time, I feel tired. I feel like, oh my gosh, I have to go to sleep. Completely the opposite. Then, another benefit, I really believe that it's a good source of protein, okay? It may be not completely. You must probably, I would suggest you to add a little bit of cheese without giving any type of medical advices. I know that legumes on their itself, they may not have all the 7 complete amino acids you need, but if you put a little bit of cheese and a little bit of rice, lentils, you have the biggest level of quality of proteins, in my opinion. Then increase energy. Lentils increase steady, slow-burning energy to its fibers and the complex carbohydrates. So it is not like just you having some sort of a piece of bread and, or some fruit that it may be pretty much gone fast. It's increased, steady, slow-burning energy. And don't forget, they also, in lentils, you have a good source of iron. That iron is very important. Why? Because it transports oxygen throughout your body. And it's very important for your metabolism. Then, if you want to look at the weight loss, when you start to eat fiber and you eat proteins and you have all these, in these calories, you have all nutrients that they are alive and they're really virtually no fat unless you put, of course, cheese, oil, like I like to do, extra virgin olive oil. You have in 1 cup of cooked lentils only about 230 calories. 230 calories. But you still feel full, satisfied, and more important, your body is nourished. So that would be the recipe of the day. Now, I'm sure there are many ways you can do lentils, and I'm not telling you that my way is the only way, but this is the way I like to cook lentils. Very simple. First of all, you must find a good source of organic, no GMO lentils. You can shop around. I found great deals on Amazon. You can get, of course, the bag, the single pound. I like to buy at least the 25 pounds bag every time. I tell you, you can find different prices, but it's still more affordable than many other junk food that you buy. Seriously, 1 pound of lentils, you can stretch them for days and be satisfied. So buy the best organic lentils you can find. Now, the basic ingredients, like I did with the pasta and fagioli, are pretty much these ones. First of all, you need lentils. Then you need 1 onion at least. We're going to work with about 3 cups of lentils, okay? Then you need 1 big organic onion if it's possible. And then you need at least 1 stick or 2 sticks of celery, okay? And then you can put 2 or 3 carrots. Wash the vegetables, you have the onions, chop it off. Then you have, of course, the carrots. You want to wash them, chop them off. And then you have the celery, same thing. You go into your pot, you get a beautiful big steel pot, and you get this oil. Extra virgin olive oil, my opinion, is the best. So you put probably about 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil, let them warm up, and you pour the onions, the celery, and carrots. Remember, you don't want to burn them. You want just to saute. You want to golden them up, like make them almost gold, okay? So at that point, then you add the water. We said that we were going to use about exactly 3 cups of lentils. For about 3 cups of lentils, I would use at least 6 cups of water. So you want to double at least the water. At that point, as you said, you pour the water where you have already in this pot the onion, the celery, and the carrots, and you start to pour also the lentils. You want to start to boil them, okay? The cooking time can be different, depends on what type of lentils. There are different type of lentils. But the idea is that you cover them up. You want to put the water to a boiling point, cover the pot, and you reduce the temperature to a medium-low. You don't want to fast cooking. You want to slow cooking, okay? It may take probably about at least 40 minutes, something like that. Depends. You must taste them. Now, at this point, I would add a little bit of salt, but not much. Try to use only sea salt if it's possible, and a little bit of ground pepper. And if you like it, I like also, for example, sage. It's a good herb to put there. But you put the herb sage at the end. So in about 40 minutes, you have your lentils. As I said, taste them. Could take less or a little more. How to serve them? Very simple. Like I said, a little cheese to complete the proteins, because normally I don't like meat. So I like to put, for example, on my bowl, I put the lentils. I sprinkle with pecorino cheese, or also if you have any type of good cheese that you can grate, okay, you can grate the cheese. Get good cheese. Try to get cheese that does not contain growth hormone. That would be a good start, okay? Little bit of sprinkle of salt, depends how much salt you like. Since we didn't put much salt, I try to keep it minimum when I'm boiling it, so at least when I'm cooking them, so at least everybody can add their own salt. And if you want a sprinkle of extra virgin olive oil. At that point, you have a beautiful recipe of lentils made Italian style, and of course, it would be nice to have a nice piece of bread. We already have a show a few weeks ago how to make your own Italian bread. That would be perfect. And guess what? Get a glass of wine, a nice red organic wine, and this is for me my emperor meal. Better than many steaks or anything else. But as I said, this is me. This is my background. This is also how my body, my person function. Everybody, I believe, has a different body. So this is pretty much was for the recipe of the day. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And now a little bit about music, because this is about love. So we will talk about food and also about music. Stay tuned. Don't go away. One of my songs, it's on the way.
To get you, I know It's been so long since I felt what you made me feel. It'll be too long before I feel it again. It's been so long since I found somebody like you. It'll be too long before our love again. I could just tell you that we could just be friends. I could just tell you that it's not the end. I could just say a simple lie, but I cannot hurt you. Oh baby, I'd rather die. I want to forget you. I know I will regret you. If there is a way, I'm gonna find it. I want to forget you. I wish I'd never met you. If there is a way, I'm gonna find it. Alright. For an hour with you, I would give all my life. For a life with you, I would give my eternity. Feel my love all around you. Let's live our life as a dream. Let our emotions free. What will remain of our regrets? I want to forget you. I know I will regret you. If there is a way, I'm gonna find it. I want to forget you. I wish I'd never met you. If there is a way, I'm gonna find it. I want to forget you. I know I will regret you. If there is a way, I'm gonna find it. I want to forget you. I wish I'd never met you. If there is a way, I'm gonna find it.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
And there was I Want to Forget You, a song that I wrote for the new CD, the latest CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom, that of course you can download directly from my website, www.zanna.us. Also find it on iTunes, Amazon.com, everywhere where you can buy music. As I said many times, this show is supported by, first of all, you, the listener, because I believe you are the most important thing. I can here be talking, and of course, but somebody must be listening. And more important, you must at least support what we are saying, what we're trying to do. That's why the best way to support the show, not just supporting, of course, our sponsors, that I think they're very important, but also it's a very symbolic, simple way. If you appreciate what I'm trying to do, even with my limitations, with my mistakes, I'm trying to improve as much as I can my English and my communication skills. I wasn't born here. I grew up in Italy, Rome, Italy. but my goal was to be here and share whatever I know, all my concerns, and also want to learn from others. So we're here together to try to wake up and to try to regain our rights. At the same time, as I say many times, we must survive. Our goal is to thrive and to endure, because this is going to be a long fight. This fight and this struggle for our freedoms and to regain our rights is not going to be something overnight. So I really believe that we couldn't make it if we don't have faith. I believe faith is very important, regardless if you're a religious man or not, woman or not, it's your business. But for me, it is very important. And I believe also we must try to enjoy the time we have. And sometimes we need to take a break. That's why I wanted to create this final hour of Love, Guns, and Freedom, that we talk about love. We talk about food. We talk about singles, freedom loving singles. So this is pretty much the idea. So please, I appreciate your support. If you like my music, or even if you don't like it, if you want just to support, you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents at zanna.us, www.zanna.us, or just go to lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a way also you can get any of my songs there. So guys, this is pretty much, we're almost wrapping up for the final part of the show. A lot of news coming, and we're going to have a very challenging week in front of us. I hope to be wrong when it comes down to this Ebola crisis, but unfortunately the signs, they are disturbing. As I said, there are too many things that don't add up. The borders, they keep still being open, and we see that there is an intention also to import, at least to let these people that are sick with the Ebola come to the U.S. to cure here. This is a virus that is not just another flu, okay? It's a 90% killing ratio, so it's not a game. And unfortunately, the executive orders of Mr. Obama, we pretty much can put any of us, just because we may have the symptoms of, just because we may look like we have some sort of a coughing, they can put us in quarantine or jail or whatever you want to call it. This is another crisis can be easily used for their benefit of creating this global government. So we must be alert. We must also be prepared. That's why I wanted to share with you this recipe today. Lentils. You can storage lentils for many years. You can buy many lentils, many pounds of lentils for a fraction of many also canned food. Think about it. And great, easy to digest, a lot of proteins. We said all these things. I think really you should do after this show, if you can, start to Google around, look on Amazon, whatever you want to do. Try to get at least a couple 100 pounds of lentils. But be sure and be careful that you do not leave, for example, you don't say that to your next door. Because, for example, if you live in New York, the Department of Homeland Security will pay you $500 to rat out a prepper neighbors buying legal goods. Yes, is this scary? The Department of Homeland Security now is going around trying to pretty much bribe spies among us that encourages businesses to snitch on people or fellow citizens who buy such things like MRIs, meals ready to eat, ammunition, flashlights, match containers, and all these different preppers. Prepper means be prepared, okay? And one of the things to be prepared is to have more than what you may need in an average situation. So I'm not saying that you need to panic, no, but think about it. Food, especially like when it's dry food, like legumes and lentils, beans, they can stay for years. Price is not going to get cheaper. Probably it's going to get more and more expensive. So stock up now. Buy food, buy ammo, and of course, don't forget to buy one of my songs. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I hope we're going to have better news next Sunday. Meanwhile, let's not forget, the best revenge against our enemies is to live well. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Stay tuned. Ciao. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.